Anyway, it is, as Sean mentioned earlier, it is retro night here. And you can tell by the uniforms, both on the red carpet and on the players on the ice, as they go back to year one for the Mighty Ducks. Now they're just called, of course, the Ducks at Anaheim. And if you look at the assembled 15 former players, a couple of things you might want to note. Number one, 5 of them are former Ottawa Senators. Bobby Dallas, the one-day Senator, Sean Hill, Jim Thompson, Ron Tugnut, and Sean Van Allen. And Denny, as you and I were talking earlier, I had forgotten how tough this team was. On this team, Robin Bauer, Todd Ewan, Stu Grimson, and Jimmy Thompson. So this team in its first year was physically difficult to play against, as we have the ceremonial face-off with Spezza and Getzlaf and a long handshaking line.
Well, there's a couple of different ways you can go when you have a first-year franchise. You can try and get skill. You can go out and get experience. You can try and get toughness and beat up the other teams. Well, they were tough, and they did have some skill. They had some luck. And as a matter of fact, so much so that they had 33 victories, Dean, in that very first year as an expansion team. And that ties the Florida Panthers under the great Roger Nielsen as coach in terms of the highest number of victories for an expansion team's first year in the NHL.
We'll find out if Emilio Estevez shows up anytime through the evening. As we have a look at our starting goaltenders for this one, a change for Ottawa, Denny, in that Robin Lehner, after an outstanding performance last night in San Jose, gets the rest, and Craig Anderson back between the pipes.
Well, there is no doubt that the team was very impressed with Robin Lehner. 50 shots he faced, 47 saves, outstanding through the night. This was all planned by the management and coaching staff, in that gives time to Anderson to get rested, and then he'll play this afternoon. And at the other end, well, there it is. Jonas Hiller got a couple of victories. He's got a pretty good record against the Ottawa Senators. He's never lost in 3 times he has faced them.
Referees, Ian Walsh, who was one of the 2 working the game last night in San Jose, is one of the referees. Here's Spezza moving and tries to center the puck. It hits a leg. He's working with Mike Lego on the lines. It is Shane Heyer and Andy McKelman. McKelman, one of the 2 linesmen last night. To the line, there's a shot that is gloved down by Anderson, and he holds on after Vatanen sent that one to the net. Let's get to our keys to the game, brought to you by Tim Hortons, Canada's favorite coffee.
Well, just to give you an idea, the Ottawa Senators have 1 victory, and they had a lead in that game. As a matter of fact, it was the only goal of the game. So they'd love to get out to a quick start. That is what Paul McLean really wants. This team has really been slow out of the gate here on the West Coast. And for the Ducks, 3-goal first period against the New York Rangers on their opening night on home ice. They felt they dominated.
Well, that is not the start that Paul McLean wanted. A man wide open in the slot, and just 27 seconds into retro night. Current night is good for the Ducks. Perry gets the goal.
Well, there's always 2 keys to the game, and usually one doesn't work. Well, the fast start by the Ottawa Senators did not work. This is misplayed in terms of positioning, and the faceoff was an area that has been really, really struggling for the Ottawa Senators in the faceoff circle. And there you see faceoff 1 to Perry, and the one-timer for the early 1-goal lead. And the Ducks will want to continue dominating. They don't care how many they put in behind Craig Anderson in the first period.
Ducks have had an outstanding opening of the season. 3-1 to open up this season. Spinning shot is blocked on the way to the net. McCarthy tried to send it in. Matthew Perreault blocked it, but the block broke his stick. Weirkosh along the boards. Centering pass. Cowan busting in. Loose puck, they jam away. But Hiller finds it and holds on to it.
Jared Cowan got a goal against the Toronto Maple Leafs very much the same way. Coming in off the point, trying to be aggressive a little bit. And the pass is fine, and McArthur hits him with a good strike. I think it's unfortunate for Cowan that the puck just bounced on his stick a little bit, because he wasn't immediately ready to make the shot. And believe me, knowing Cowan, he would rather have taken that shot immediately rather than try the deke. It was only because the puck bobbled on him.
There's a shot through traffic by Carlson, deflected off to the corner. Getzlaf tries to run it up the boards out to center. Carlson comes across, takes Maroon off the puck. Now turning back with it. Colin Greening out to center. Greening to the line, leaves it there. Zach Smith with a shot and a blocker save from Hiller goes up into the mesh. And now a meeting in front of the Anaheim goal.
Well, you know, not to be hard on the Ottawa Senators, but when you think about conversation I had with Paul McLean, and he uses the word dictate, you know, it's about time that you get a little tougher on the team. They have passed those tests. Dictate means that Paul McLean, their coach, feels that this is a hockey team that has surpassed a lot of the, you know, the kind of young team and inexperienced team. They're expected to do things now, and that's why he feels they need to start playing some better hockey.
Long lead pass out to center, busting in. Pagliano can't get it by Anderson. Back to the point. Allen, his shot. Low and wide of the net. Round the boards it goes. Back out to center. And the Ducks have to come out. Back to the line again. Plotman sends it ahead, but again they can't get in cleanly. Phillips clears it out to center, but didn't get it to a friendly stick. Turning with it, Lovejoy, the former Penguin. Lead pass down to the line again. Here's Pagliano again. Tries to press his way by. Allen wouldn't let him turn the corner. Here's Pagliano again. What a shift for Pagliano. Back of the net. Steers it around the boards. Edom couldn't get it to go. Off the boards. Puck is bounced ahead out to center. It's Condra. Worked it ahead and was rolled into the boards hard. Out of the net. Hiller sends it off to Stanchion. Condra trying to hold it in. Got some help from Neal. Neal gets it back. To the backhand. Low and wide. Off the boards. Wierkosh in from the point. Keeps it alive. Puck in the corner. Bonino clears the puck ahead out to center. Here's a race. Palmieri with it cutting in. Can't beat it. Anderson makes the save. We are not yet 3 minutes. It's Pagliano, his shot low and wide. We are not yet 3 minutes into this game. And the Ducks have had a goal from a wide open man in the slot and 2 breakaways against them. At center. Carlson trying to win back the puck. There's a shot blocker save on the rebound. Puck hops in behind the net as Beauchemin couldn't get good wood on the rolling puck. Up in the air, puck is tipped ahead. Ducks hold it in. Beauchemin again, his shot. Side of the net, centering pass, hits the back of the net. Lafont clears it around the boards as he was all hooked up. Here's Bobby Ryan, couldn't get to the puck in time as it's knocked back away from him by Perreault. Back in front again. Backhander Anderson makes the save. Back in that jam play side of the net, unable to get it to go is Maroon. Ducks all over the Senators. Back in front. Tap shot low and wide from Solani. Getzlaf rotates in. Shot through traffic. Anderson the save. Another shot. Scores! Ryan Getzlaf. 2-0 Ducks.
I'll tell you what, this team, the Anaheim Ducks, won the first 3 games on the road, so the home fans are saying, we want a piece of that. We want to see what you guys can do. Well, it's getting ridiculous. They came into this hockey rink, Honda Center, 3-0 lead against the New York Rangers, and now they pumped the Ottawa Senators for a couple of goals, and as Dean said, there were even a couple of breakaways that they couldn't capitalize on. What a dominance by the Anaheim Ducks.
Sounders look like they're trying to play in a blender.
I tell you what, Paul McLean is really irate. He's had to change a goaltender only because your number 1 goaltender is getting beaten up badly. No support. There had to be a shift of, what, under a minute, maybe just a little over a minute, where the Ottawa Senators never touched the puck. A little reminiscent of what we saw in San Jose as well. The key to these Western teams, particularly the ones that the Senators have met on this trip, LA, San Jose, and now Anaheim, they're all big and they're all fast.
So the goaltending change. Here's Getzlaf in the corner with it. Getzlaf along the boards. Feeds it back to the point. Through traffic, Leonard gloves it down as that wrister came in from Cam Fowler in the face-off to the right of the Ottawa goal.
Well, it wasn't so long ago. This is a 5 o'clock start on the West Coast. Leonard made 47 saves last night. And in talking with Anderson after the game, one of the things that we pointed out was that the Senators are not necessarily known as a shot-blocking team, so that the pucks coming from the point at almost any angle will find their way to the net. At the moment, they have given up on a per-game basis more shots than any other team in the NHL.
Puck hops over top of the stick of McCulloch, slides all the way down ice. Allen back to get it, icing the call, and again a face-off down inside the Senators' end. 10-3 now, shots on goal favoring the Ducks, and we're not yet 5 minutes into this game.
I can't imagine Greg Anderson having had to leave a game this early in his NHL career, and it was sympathy from the coach. Take him out from in front of a firing squad.
Well, you saw the puck is deflected in front, and Leonard makes the save off that nice redirection from just in front of the Ottawa goal by Koivu. Out to center. Here's Spezza to the wing. McCulloch tries to drive it in low. McCulloch to the corner. Runs it around the boards before he is rattled by Vatanen. Puck comes back out to center. Here's Mafat. Tips the puck ahead. Down to the line. McCulloch steals it away. Gets it in front. Greening with a shot. That's blocked on the way to the net by Vatanen. Greening off the boards. Kicks the puck ahead. Turris feeds the point. Corvo. His wrister redirected in front. Greening back to the net. Puck slides under the stick of McCulloch. Ducks cleared all the way back down ice. And Phillips will bring it back. And a face-off this time inside the Anaheim end, which in the last couple of minutes, Denny, has been a rarity for Ottawa to be down there.
It is totally clean, and this is the first goal, just to take you back a few minutes. This is Cogliano with a breakaway. Doesn't really get a good shot on goal. This is Palmieri, also doesn't really get a good shot on his breakaway, but just total dominance of the other big guy, Getzlaf, gets the second goal of the game here for the Anaheim Ducks.
Ducks cleared out, and again all the way down ice, and again an icing call. A face-off back inside the Anaheim end.
Well, as you look at Greg Anderson, all of that happened to him within a period of about 4 minutes. Just an unbelievable start by the home team, wearing the old jerseys, first seen in 1993. Boy, are they treating their fans to some hockey. A 6-0 dominant victory here the other night against the New York Rangers, and starting out in a similar fashion here against the Senators.
Right now, the Ducks in the early going of this season, only 4 games in the distribution are a +5. They have scored 11 and given up only 6 so far, and now you can make it 13. There's a steal. Carlson loses the puck. Ducks quickly give it back.
How often do you see that? Very seldom can he not skate away from an attacker.
Eat him along the boards. Puck is tipped, but not up. Back the other way. Palmieri. Leonard out of the net. Snaps it around the boards. Pocheman waiting for it. Fires it back down low to the corner. Here's Perry. Slapped off his stick by Kyle Turris. Now spinning to try and create some space. Bonino along the boards. Slides by him and Neal out to center. Neal works it ahead. Colin Greening to the corner. Greening. Ian Lindholm battle for space. Round the boards it goes on the other side. Spezza comes in. Hops up in the air off the stick of Weir-Kosh and out of play. A 2-0 lead for the Ducks here on Canadian Tire Senators Hockey.
Community Hockey brought to you by Scotiabank. You're richer than you think. As proud supporters of kids' community hockey teams across Canada, Scotiabank wants to hear how your team is impacting or giving back to your community. Tag your stories and photos using hashtag #ScotiaHockey for a chance to be recognized on an upcoming Senators broadcast.
All right, thank you, Sean. Face off to the left of Jonas Hiller. As the Senators are looking to try and change the momentum of this game, which has largely been Anaheim's pace. For the game, Paul McLean talked about trying to urge his players to be ready to start and to dictate pace. Puck was knocked down in front of the net on what was a blue line in 3-on-1 for the Ducks. Spets at the line as it tipped off his stick and quickly back the other way. Miller makes the angle save as Winnick really didn't have much to shoot at. Back to the point. Fowler back in front again. Koivu couldn't get the shot through. And the puck is flipped back out to center by Wierkoch.
The other thing that adds to the discomfort is the fact that these Ducks have defensemen that can really skate.
To the line. Mafat picks it up. Out the other side. Carlson slides it ahead. Turris drops it. Ryan with a shot that misses. Rings around the boards all the way back out to center.
A missed shot like that doesn't help the containment of the puck in the offensive zone.
Turris to the line. Cross ice. MacArthur gets a shot away. Hiller makes the save. And it ended up being trickier than he thought it was going to be as it popped up on him.
Pro Hockey Life, the ultimate hockey megastore.
All right, you're down 2-0. You've been dominated. Almost half the period is gone. Paul McLean was seen barking at his team. What he is saying is, he's not saying go and score 3 goals right now. He's saying, look, stop the leak, boys. Let's just settle this game down, and we'll get it back in our favor a little bit at a time, meaning one shift at a time.
DaCosta trying to hold it in, can't, but has control of the puck, drops it back to his own end, away from Corey Perry. Mafat lead pass through the middle, couldn't get it through the crowd. Carlson fires it in. Smith along the boards. Neal comes up, puts a hit on Allen. Puck pops out to center. DaCosta slips it across, and Mafat loses control of the puck, but here is Erik Karlsson. Neal now fires the puck in, heads off on a change. Zach Smith comes in. Puts a hit on Vatanen. And now Allen. A one-time Florida Panther. Long lead pass out to center. Phillips knocks it down as they were looking for the long bomb pass to Corey Perry. Turris to the line. Moves in, slides it through for a tip, but Ryan couldn't get a stick on it. Ryan leaves it there. Here's MacArthur. MacArthur gives the puck away. And back out to center. Here's Edom. Goes to the forehand. His shot low and wide off the boards. Palmieri leaves it along the boards. Joe Corbo steals it away. Ahead to Phillips. Phillips gets to center. Feeds it in. Turris drags and slides, but the puck goes off the stick of Lindholm and over top of the net. MacArthur back to the point. Phillips with a shot. Deflected in front. Loose puck. Hiller makes the save.
Bobby Ryan right on top of the crease.
Back in front. Here's Phillips. Rips one at Hiller. Bad save. He just spits it back to the corner. Kyle Palmieri is without a stick right now, so the Senators have a bit of an advantage. Here's Turris. Wines fires. That's blocked. Backhanded. That's knocked down. In the crease. Jonas Hiller covers it and holds it. Still a 2-0 lead for the Ducks, but some pushback from the Senators here in the back half of period 1.
This period brought to you by Toyota. The 2013s must go to make room for the 2014s. On now at your Toyota dealer.
It's the Road to Rio presented by CIBC. Coverage begins Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Sportsnet Ontario, West Pacific World, and Sportsnet 360.
Spets in the circle, wins the draw clean. Here's Karlsson. Sends a shot through, but it goes off a leg. Mafat in from the point. Back to the net. Conacher turns, tries to go short side, but Hiller stays tall, knocks it down, and holds on.
All right, well, the Senators are starting to show that they want to put a stoppage to that leak, and the idea is just go one shift after another. Conacher trying to get one on the short side on Hiller.
Karlsson fires one, trying to get it through. That's knocked down. Winnick clears it out. Here's Mafat across to pick it up. Back out to center. Intercepted by Koivu. Works it back to the line. Winnick cuts in his shot. Blocker saved by Leonard. Conacher off the board. Slaps it ahead to center. Out of the reach of Milan McCulloch. Flipped back to the line. Koivu. Pass by Karlsson. Knocked down. Turning quickly in his own end. Here's Cam Fowler. Cross ice. Ben Lovejoy. bouncing it and now flipping it all the way back down ice. Selanne in to get it. Solanne's NHL career started 1 year before this organization began. Zach Smith sends a shot through, misses the net. Slapped back along the boards by Cowan. Here's Neal in behind the net. Smith tries to help him out. Penalty call is on the way against Neal. And the Ducks will go on the power play. Silfverberg now tries to head back up ice. Diller gets off the ice. The extra attacker out there is Neal. Takes a run at Botman. Why not? He's already going off for a penalty. So here's Silfverberg to Selanne. Selanne shot, pad save. Puck is loose, and now we get a whistle as it's no longer loose. As Chris Neal goes firing in at Matthew Perreault, trying to get anybody to engage with him, to take somebody with him on a penalty that he already knows he's getting.
Well, he's a bit like a bull in a china shop trying to get some hits. The tough part about Neal getting the penalty now, of course, it's he got his stick caught in the skates of the defenseman Vatanen, and down he goes, and the penalty will be called for that very infraction. But Coach Paul McLean had just started to mix up his lines a little bit. You know, he took Ryan off of the top line, brought up Conacher, trying some different combinations.
From the point, there's a shot deflected. One of the few parts of the Anaheim game which has not been good in the early going of this season has been their power play. In fact, it's the worst in the league. 1 for 15 in their first 4 games. That is under 7%. And certainly the Sounders do not want it to find its pace now. Getzlaf to the line. His shot knocked away by Leonard. That just chopped back to the point. Fowler there to hold it in. Here's Phillips now. Hammers it around the boards, and unable to hold it in is Vatanen, so they have to come back down ice.
The penalty killing for the Ottawa Senators has not been terrific, but of course in a situation like this, you got to get a lot more serious, down by 2 goals, and sometimes the pressure of having to be better right away can make everybody work a little harder, which is what you need when you're killing penalties.
Lindholm carries it in. Now the Ducks get set up in the zone. Turning along the boards. Perreault weighing his options. Former Capital back to the point. There's a shot gloved down by Leonard as Selanne was waiting for any kind of spillage, but it didn't come.
Well, the box, as they call it, the 4 men creating that position in front of the net was held pretty well, and you didn't have any real opportunity to get the puck to the front. There's the Silfverberg, 33, in that purple jersey. He's got 4 goals in 4 games on the season. Better keep an eye on him. He hovers around that high slot.
Off the draw, quick shot knocked away again by Leonard as that snapper came in from the point from Hampus Lindholm.
Well, Silfverberg, you know him from Ottawa. He was a key acquisition for Anaheim's general manager Bob Murray, and as I said, has already been scoring for his new team. Good young player, and he is celebrating his 23rd birthday today, October 13th.
Murray with a shot, and that one goes off the crossbar, then into the glass. As Selanne is driven into the boards, and Mathot throws his arms up because you can tell he believes that Teemu Selanne helped this along.
Well, there's a big difference, and the referees are supposed to know the difference between a cross-check that drives somebody into the board or a push. And I believe the argument that Mathot would say is that I'm just giving a push. Look at how dainty he was towards the back of Selanne, and that is why the frustration. But the penalty will be called anyway. And at the most opportune or inopportune time, the Ottawa Senators have taken 2 penalties. Nothing's going well, really, for Paul McLean. Not only that, but the 2 guys in the box are 2 veterans.
Well, it definitely was a cross-check, and Selanne being a veteran, when he felt that stick across his back, you're not going to try and stay up. Smart play by him. Fowler works it, gets it back, his shot. And that is knocked down in front as it actually hits Perry, and Perry slow to get up. cross ice. That shot goes low and wide from Getzlaf. Getzlaf again. Looking for Perreault on the wide side. Low to the corner. Perry. Puck comes free. Turris unable to find it. There's a shot knocked down. Neal is back out. It's a 5-on-4. Neal intercepts and deflects the puck back out to center. Quickly back to the line. Here's Perry. Lines, doesn't fire, draws it back in. Backhander save is made. Leonard gets up, recovers, reaches back, and makes the save.
Well, Perry had a couple of shots at it. He might have had the angle to get the puck through, but a superb save on the double rebound for goaltender Leonard, who was outstanding last night. We talked about with a 47th save. Here is the play by Perry. Now, the rebound is there, and the fact is that it was Bonino who was in on the rebound. Twice he whacked at it.
Lindholm's shot gets through, knocked down by Leonard. Silverberg in the corner. Carlson, though, gets there first, clears it around the boards, back down ice. 50 seconds remaining in the penalty to Mathadas. Jonas Hiller thought about clearing it, but then Spencer right there. He elects to go back and allow his team to come out with control. To the line, right side. There's a quick shot that goes low and wide from Palmieri. Puck is back out to center. Short-handed, McCulloch to the line. McCulloch slides it across, and Hiller comes over to make the save on Carlson. Cross ice pass. Here's Solani to the line. Solani drops it back to the point. Beauchemin with a shot redirected in front. Puck is cleared. Condren just got to it in time.
Again, Bonino is right on top of the crease.
Solani winds, fires, misses, and just misses low.
Perfect for the Ottawa Senators. That eliminates the short-handed situations. Mathot coming back on the ice.
Ducks back to the line. We're back to even strength hockey as the Senators survive that 5-on-3. Here's Joe Corvo. Makes a move to get out of his own end. Through the middle. Gets it down to the line and in. Condren tries to slide it back to DeCosta instead of taking the shot. Anaheim had 8 shots on that power play.
You've got to draw some energy from having killed both those power plays for the Ottawa Senators.
Phillips out to center, tried to slide it ahead. DeCosta couldn't get the shuttle ahead. To the line and in. Koivu can't get the shot that he wants or the pass. Loses the puck, but stolen away again. Senators too casual in their own zone. They give the puck away. Here's Corvo. Puck is cleared and nearly given away again. Tottenham had it right on his stick and bounced off. Having this play a break for the Senators after their turnover. Koivu back to the point. Big save by Leonard as he throws out the leg and stymies the shot from Vatanen, who got it straight through. Finally, DeCosta gets it back out to center. Ottawa gets a change. Getzlaf drops it back. Sami Vatanen gets tied up, loses the puck. Bobby Ryan, backhander, misses. Turris and Getzlaf along the boards. Turris.
Another new line combination for Paul McLean. This time, Bobby Ryan on the Turris line.
Ducks dump it back inside the zone. 3 minutes remaining in period 1. Neal dumps it to the corner. Turris knocked off the puck by Perry, but Turris trying to find his balance, pokes it back to the point. Weirkosh comes back to hold it in, air mails it to the corner for Neal. Neal swings it back. Cowan with a shot, whose puck turned back again by Greening. He gets wrapped up after trying to get a shot through. Back to the point, Cowan. Stutter steps, his shot, blocked, turnaround shot by Neal. Jonas Hiller makes the save. Along the boards, Weirkosh keeps it alive. Here's Greening in behind the net, tries to one-touch it. Back to Weirkosh. Sent ahead. Puck is thrown to the open wing and then slapped back to the corner by Zach Smith. Getzlaf just flips it back out of the zone to get a change.
strong shift by a physical line for the Senators.
Carlson to the line. Conacher tips it in to the corner. Conacher goes hard into the boards on Ben Lovejoy. Out to center now. Cam Fowler to the line. Carries it in. Fowler to the corner. Hits the elbow up into the chin of Conacher. Or maybe down into the chin of Conacher. Mathot tips the puck ahead, and here is Conacher out to center. Fires it around the boards. Jonas Hiller out of the net slows it down as Lovejoy taps it ahead. Solani. Perreault flips it back out to center. Mathot lines up and fires it back in. Takes a hard bounce off the stanchion. Conacher steals it. MacArthur back in front, tried to get it to McCulloch, and they just barely missed on the connection. Conacher was headed off on a change. Hits the puck and now gives it to Phillips. Here's Corvo. Under pressure from Koivu. Final minute of play here in period number 1. Along the boards, win it. Tries to chop it out. Can't do it. Corvo. Topsides the puck. Back in front. Scores! Bobby Ryan all alone side of the net. It's a 1-goal game.
It happens that quickly. Stop the leak. And the Ottawa Senators started mounting one shift at a time. An incredible pass and a very solid play. The pass by Turris. A beautiful strike to Bobby Ryan. Remember, Paul McLean had now shuffled the lines a little bit. It starts up at the top of the blue line. The pass to Turris by Corvo and the perfect strike to Bobby Ryan. And all of a sudden, a little magic is starting to happen. We are going to see Turris and Bobby Ryan together a lot more, certainly in this hockey game, as it seems to have clicked.
Ottawa goal scored number 6, Bobby Ryan.
Puck is backhanded down inside the zone. Quickly Greening. Back with it, steers it across, tried to hit Zach Smith, couldn't do it. Bobby Ryan from Turris and Corvo, and it's a 1-goal game. Back along the boards. Greening just trying to protect the puck and instead gives it away. Turns back to tip it off the stick of Nick Bonino, who then flies into the boards after being hit by Colin Greening. Edom with a shot that goes low and wide, and that will do it. For period 1, a 1-goal lead for the Ducks after 20 minutes.
Your score after 1 period of play.
This period brought to you by Toyota. The 2013s must go to make room for the 2014s. On now at your Toyota dealer.
Well, the way this game started, it looked like it might be 10-0 for the Ducks after 1, but a simple 1-goal lead after 20 minutes. Let's get the analysis. Hockey Central at the intermission. Billy Jaffe, and here's Brad Fay.
All right, Dean, yeah, we were looking up the rule book, see if they can implement the mercy rule at one point. Billy Jaffe will tell us how the Sens got in trouble early and how they got themselves back into the game when we come back at the first intermission. What looked like a runaway is shaping up to be a pretty entertaining hockey game. 2-1 through 20 minutes, and Bobby Ryan with the goal in his return to Anaheim. Stay tuned.
Let's have a look at our first period scoring summary, brought to you by your Metro Ford dealers of Ottawa.
It didn't take long, 27 seconds. Corey Perry made it 1-0. Then Ryan Getzlaf, the two richest people in Anaheim, well, maybe not, have made it to 2-0. And then the Senators stopped the leak. And it was Bobby Ryan with his third 3 in consecutive games. Great pass by Turris. And again, Joe Corvo getting in with an assist. Joe Corvo, 3 assists now in the season. Didn't play in San Jose. He got the puck in the face during practice. But as you can see, no major damage. Had to miss the game in San Jose, but is ready to go. And again, contributing offensively.
Doctors checked him out in San Jose to make sure there was no structural damage. He had swelling issues. They have gotten the swelling issues under control, and there was no structural damage. As you can see, he has now added to his equipment roster a visor. Not surprisingly, as that puck hit him right below the eye.
And he's played more than 25 games, or some of you may not know. Any NHL player that has played 25 or fewer games in the NHL now must wear a visor. It becomes mandatory.
Second period underway, and the puck is flipped out to center by Chris Neil. Allen goes cross ice, now gets it back.
Veteran line, physical line, energy line for Paul McLean.
Karlsson can't clear the puck out. Maroon taken hard into the boards. Senators get to the line, but Perry holds it in, and then he is slinged into the boards by Chris Neil. On the boards, here's Maroon. Phillips tries to put Pat Maroon into the boards, and he is a big guy, 6'3", 230, so he and Phillips about the same size. Back to the point, there's a shot right on, save is made by Leonard. And the puck is cleared, but not out. Back in the corner again. Phillips challenged by Cogliano, but Phillips keeps his balance, as does Karlsson there to get the puck back out to center. Puck is shoveled back inside. Cogliano taken to the boards at the Anaheim bench by Chris Neil. Phillips to Karlsson. Out to center. Greening through the middle. Spezza inside the line. Gets a shot away, and that goes off the stick of Fowler and over top of the Ducks goal. Back to the point. The puck is slapped by Koivu back through center and down to the Ottawa end.
Conacher has not joined that top line with Spezza and McCulloch. That may just be the spark that line needs. And you may just be able to see some magic, as Paul McLean is hoping, between Spezza and McCulloch.
Conacher tried to slide it through for Jared Cowan. His pass knocked down. Now here's Solani back up the center. Conacher trying to track him down. He catches Solani. Winnick, though, back down low to Solani. Couldn't get it by as big Robin Leonard sealed him off. Now to the corner, trying to turn it back in front. Perreault to the point. Walking in. That one goes off the shoulder of Leonard. As Hampus Lindholm just walked it in. Another shot by Lindholm, and again a save by Leonard.
Tickets for the first half of the season are on sale now, including the home opener on October 17th. Parking for that game is free. Compliments of Canadian Tire. For more information, visit capitaltickets.ca.
All right, thank you, Sean.
Well, you know that part of the slowing things down is up to Robin Leonard, who has come in replacement of the starter Craig Anderson. And again, I repeat, that was saving Private Craig Anderson from an onslaught by the Ducks early.
Here's Mafat, plays it along the boards. MacArthur ahead, Turris tries to clear it out, but that actually hits the skate of Nick Bonino. Now the Senators dump it to the corner. Beauchemin loses the puck. Comes back to the front of the net. Turris couldn't get it to the net. Bobby Ryan slaps it back along the boards. MacArthur to the corner. Here's Turris. Back in front. Karlsson walks in, winds, and that one deflected. Back in front, quick shot just misses. Half a wide open net, and Turris couldn't get it through quickly enough. The gap closed.
The puck did roll on him. He never really got the shot that he wanted. How maddening for Turris, who was looking at a wide open net.
All the way down to the line. Neal shovels the puck back out to center. Into the zone. Centering pass. Scores! A wide open Corey Perry makes it 3-1 Ducks.
You know, the miscalculation back in the Ottawa zone really makes it a problem, because you've got the situation where nobody really gets picked up. What you're going to see right from the beginning is driving to the net is Lindholm, the defenseman. But then on the far side, nobody pays attention to Corey Perry. And you got to know he's yelling like crazy, because everybody is looking at defenseman Lindholm. Take a look at, you've got four guys focusing on the puck carrier, and of course Corey Perry, who once won the Maurice Richard Trophy for most goals in the NHL. He found the open lane and got the puck.
Perry with 15 goals and 36 points last year. And he gets his second of the evening and his third of the year. Out to center. Conacher down to the line. Spezza on the other side. Back in front. The pass for Spezza hits a stick and wicks away from him, and the Ducks get it back out to center. Here's Winnick. Inside the line, drops it for Cogliano, who turns back. He tries to throw it through the middle of the ice. Picked off from McCullough. Floats it down inside the Ducks' end. Ottawa will make a full change now. Fowler. Through the middle. Gives it to his partner, and Lovejoy fires it around the boards into the Ottawa end. Lovejoy can't hold it in. The pass from Fowler outside the line. Ducks have to clear out. And now come back in. Lindholm gets the assist on the Perry goal. So in this game, Lindholm has his first 2 NHL points. There's a shot from the point by Carlson that's deflected to the corner. Greeny around the boards on the other side. Carlson comes in, keeps the puck in. Back to the point. Can't slide the shot through as he didn't realize Silverberg was behind him. Now Solani drops it. Silverberg. His shot. Gloved down by Leonard.
A lot of turnovers have really hurt the Ottawa Senators, and you know, once it gets going, this is where we talked about a little earlier. The whiff on the shot, that would have made it 2-2. Now, this is the turnover I was talking about. Little pass up the middle, doesn't go anywhere. Instead of keeping it on the boards, now you see both defensemen, Phillips and Carlson, are mixed up, not on their regular side. So everything gets jumbled simply by not keeping the puck out of the middle and out of the danger area while in the neutral zone. And turnovers have really hurt the Senators in the past 3 games.
That angle shot knocked down. Puck is loose in front, cleared by Pajot. Off the boards. Puck goes up and out of play, and we're going to get a penalty against Zach Smith, who cleared it. It did not hit the glass on the way out, so a delay of game penalty against Zach Smith, and a power play now for the Anaheim Ducks.
Oh my. Not a lot is going well. As you can see, he is trying to get the puck just off the glass. Now trying to do something responsible and just safe. And when things are not going well, boy, I tell you, this ends up happening. Puck finds its way over the glass, and now you got a penalty. Quite amazing.
Ducks 0 for 2 in the power play. 8 shots in their first power play, which for part of it was a 5-on-3. Back to the point. Shot through traffic. Gloved down by Leonard as that puck came through from Sami Vatanen with some good pace on it.
Now Vatanen and the young defenseman, that's what they have. They've got a group of young defensemen. He's 21 years old. You've got Cam Fowler, also 21 years old. Lindholm is 19. 3 of the 6 starting defensemen in the lineup are all 21 or younger. Amazing.
Ducks trying to move it in. Leonard makes the save, and then he gets driven into the net. And then Getzlaf misses the open net. As Perry does not stop, and right now the Senators want to know how that isn't goaltender interference. The puck is in the blue paint, so you're allowed to go in and get it. What you aren't allowed to do is pile drive the goalie into the back of the net.
Now let's take another look. There's no question that you're thrown in there, but he's got to try and get out. And I guess the referee felt that Perry got pushed in, had no way of trying to avoid hitting the goaltender.
Yeah.
These are all judgment calls. No call was made there, and no goal.
Well, as you can see, it was quite clear that Jared Cowan did indeed drive Perry into Leonard. Moving in is a shot deflected by Leonard, and that goes up into the mesh as that was ripped in again by Vatanen. And he has a great ability to get the puck through. He has had some great chances.
San Jose put 50 shots on goal. The Anaheim Ducks have 35 with this one. But the important thing is look at where it came from. 20 feet in front of the net. Wind up for a slap shot all the time in the world by youngster Vatanen. There are breakdowns in the Ottawa Senators zones that need to be worked on very quickly. Even as short-handed, guys shouldn't be allowed to come in that cleanly for the slap shot. 35-13 shots on goal in favor of the Ducks.
Into the zone, Koivu drops it back in front. Oh, what a save by Leonard. Leonard comes across and denies Perry on the hat-trick goal. Spezza moving in. Spezza can't get it to the net. And the net is knocked ajar as McCulloch goes into the net. 54 seconds to go, and Corey Perry cannot believe he could not bury the hat-trick goal.
Well, you know, the Ducks are thinking we missed the net, and an unbelievable save here by the right foot of goaltender Robin Leonard stops Perry from what he probably thought was a sure hat-trick goal.
Ottawa general manager Brian Murray was the general manager of this Anaheim team. I just noticed on Twitter from Wayne Scanlon from the Ottawa Citizen. He makes note of the fact that Brian Murray has either drafted or traded every one of the goal scorers in this game.
Yeah.
To the line and in. Perreault in but offside. The call is Solani was 2 steps offside on the wide side of the ice.
Well, Brian Murray was the general manager here, and he made those acquisitions before he was let go. Another thing that he did here was that he hired a young man named Mike Babcock to be a coach for the Anaheim Ducks in his very first start as an NHL coach. And guess who was the assistant coach for Mike Babcock? Happened to be Paul McLean. So Brian Murray very much part of that celebration tonight, in a way, celebrating 20th anniversary of this franchise.
Here's Turris trying to bust in. What a move by Turris. Gets a great chance out of that. Foiled by Jonas Hiller at the last second. But what a series of moves by Kyle Turris.
You know, you've got to love what Turris is saying here. And I'm saying because he's doing it with his actions. You're down 3-1. Maybe the other team will sit back a little bit on the lead. You've got to keep pressing. And if you're able to make a play like he did there, just couldn't finish it, you just might get your team back into the hockey game. Interestingly enough, the game is full of minutes, of opportunities, 60 minutes, and the Senators have to keep pushing away, whereas the Ducks, well, they too would love to add to the 3-1 lead.
At center, Lovejoy snaps it around the boards. Zach Smith is out now. We're back to even strength. 4 shots on goal for the Ducks during that power play. Zach Smith flips the puck up in the air. Gets it back out to center. He and Lovejoy try to occupy the same space on the ice at the same time. Neither happy with each other's intrusion. Phillips clears the puck to the boards, but not out. Now McCulloch to Spezza, lays it across. Smith tries to refeed Spezza, but he was covered. Now calling for it at center ice was Getzlaf as he came off the bench and was all alone at the Ottawa line. Joe Corvo through the middle. Carlson snaps it off the boards, back out to center. Ducks to the line. Getzlaf. Gets it ahead. Here's Pajot. Pajot with a shot. Hiller bobbles it, but then catches it and holds on for a face-off. When we return, a 2-goal lead for the Ducks here in period 2 on Canadian Tire. Senators hockey.
The road to the World Series continues with NLCS Game 3, St. Louis versus the LA Dodgers, and you can catch that game tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Sportsnet East, Sportsnet Ontario, as well as Sportsnet Pacific.
All right, John, thank you very much. Kyle Turris loses the draw. Lovejoy reverses the puck, and his partner Cam Fowler now headmans the puck out to center. Corvo has to spin as it gets by him. Gets it back from MacArthur, and now they try to break up. Turris to the line, cuts in around Lovejoy, gets hooked on the way through. And you can hear the Ottawa bench questioning where the hooking call is. Not so much questioning as yelling, but you get my point. Back in front, drop pass. Vaughton. MacArthur with a steal. Gives it to Bobby Ryan. Ryan lays it across the boards, trying to time it to get it back to MacArthur. Here's DaCosta to the corner with it. DaCosta. It's wrapped up in the corner. Fowler headmans the puck, and an easy out for Pat Maroon. Decides to turn it back though, and the breakout will come as the Ducks change. Again, Cam Fowler. Hits it ahead, redirected in by Getzlaf. Winnick goes in to chase it. Wiercaj tips it away from him. DaCosta now lays the puck ahead along the boards for Neal. Neal coming down the wing. His shot right on. Save is made by Hiller. Ducks break it back out. Winnick tripped by the puck. Snap back the other way, and Neal drives it in as he takes an elbow on the side of the head from Allen. Back to the line. Puck is held in by Carlson. And out to center. Here's Koivu. Dumps the puck in. Stolen away, and DaCosta brings it back. DaCosta sends a shot in right on, and Hiller makes the save as Spezza had just come on the ice on a change.
Hiller has had a pretty good record. Actually, he's had an excellent record against the Ottawa Senators. So he is feeling pretty confident. Plus the fact that up until this point, he's only had 17 shots against. He's won all 3 meetings that he has had career against the Senators with a save percentage of .955. So the point being, Senators have a tall order. And on top of that, having to beat a confident goaltender.
Ducks in their own zone. Carried back to center now. Perreault can't get through the crowd with it. Lead pass down to the line and in. Zach Smith pulls up, looks for the late man. Back to the point, held in by Wiercaj. There's another shot that's knocked down. Carlson now. Drops it to the corner. Spezza back to Carlson. Carlson walks in, winds, fires. That's knocked down. Another chance. That's knocked down. Puck is loose, and Silverberg just flips it back down ice. Now he'll go and try and chase it, but Wiercaj gets there first. Carlson heads off, favoring his right leg as he gets back to the Ottawa bench. Centering pass. That's knocked down. Back along the boards, the Ducks carry it to center. Into the zone. Edom back in front. Puck was lying there. Unable to get there in time, though, was Bonino. And Ottawa brings it back. Condra taken down at the line. And the puck is flipped back to center. Back the other way. Drop pass bouncing, and Leonard makes the save off the swat shot that came in quickly from Kyle Palmieri.
Well, you can see the key for these Anaheim Ducks is how they turn that puck up ice very, very quickly. Hardly any possession time in the offensive zone for the Senators.
Here's Getzlaf now. To Perry, who tips the puck in. Leonard out of the net. Banks it back along the boards. Jared Cowan as it pop off the leg of Corey Perry and up and out of play. 3-1 Ducks lead here in period 2 from the Honda Center.
Well, there's during the commercial break. You see the grimace on the face of Erik Karlsson. And the reason for that is he took a puck on the right foot. Watch right side of your screen. Tries to get out of the way. And the shot by his own teammate. That's how poorly things are going for the Senators. That was McCulloch trying to shoot on goal. And the block shot was by his own defense, Erik Karlsson. He's fine now as Karlsson will shake it off.
Play is whistled down, and the face-off will come back down to the Ottawa line.
Well, I can tell you one thing, that if Karlsson is standing between the shooter McCulloch, his teammate, and the opposing goalie, you know that he's thinking we've got to generate more offense, and he has the ability to get back if he needs to. But I would expect, as does most of the Senators, that Karlsson will try and generate more offense for his team as this game goes on.
MacArthur's move to get out didn't work. Ducks keep it in the Ottawa end along the boards. Perry is knocked down by Turris. And Turris, although he did hit Perry in the back, you may want to consider that after a couple of Ducks have gone flying into the boards after being touched from behind, that maybe the officials are not going to give them the benefit of the doubt on those plays again.
Yeah, that's left for the over 40-year-olds.
Here's Bobby Ryan. Ryan busting in. His shot right on. And the save is made by Jonas Hiller.
Local sports on Rogers TV. Your community, your teams. For the most local sports, watch Rogers TV.
Getting used to seeing Bobby Ryan with that quick release right here as he's moving forward. And a good one it is, but that time Hiller was ready for him and had the angle. 4 consecutive years, Bobby Ryan has scored 30-plus goals. Full years, that is. Of course, not including a 48-game season from last year. Has now scored 3 goals this season, and all have come one in each of the last 3 games, including this one this afternoon.
His whistle down. Face-off will come back down to the Senators' end. Still 6:53 to go in the second period. And already in this game, Denny, the Senators have given up 38 shots. So far last night into today, it's 88 shots. We look at Bobby Ryan's career goals numbers.
Look at that year. Not a bad draft year, huh? James Neal, Crosby, Kopitar, and 150 goals by Bobby Ryan.
Lead pass ends up going off the skates. Here's a steal, and the shot by McCulloch goes over top of the net.
Remember the shot by Turris and this one by McCulloch. Both missed the net. Great opportunities. Could be a tie game.
Here's Winnick. Gets the puck passed all the way down ice as it goes off the stick of Andrew Cogliano. So a face-off will come back down to the Ducks end this time.
So Milan is looking up to the heavens and he's saying, I get a great shot from the slot and I hit Carlson's ankle. Now I get a great opportunity from the slot again, even better, because I'm moving forward. The puck rolls on me and I miss the net. And he still looks at the heavens. Why? When am I going to get a break?
Puck slides by Corvo all the way down ice. That gives the Ducks the change that they're looking for. Neal tips the puck down inside the Ducks end. Costa goes in. Solani along the boards. Here's Silverberg. Gets it out to center as he's taken down by Jared Cowan. Corvo swings away from Solani ahead to center. Returning the favor, Silverberg takes down DaCosta. Here's Corvo. Decides to carry it to center himself, to the line. Neal tips it in. Around the boards, Lovejoy wraps it around, and the Ducks back to center. Silverberg to the line. Lafont.
Looked like offside, wasn't it?
Perreault in behind the net, swings it up the other side, turns and fires off the blocker of Leonard. Here's Silverberg now, again trying to get away from Lafont this time. Back to the point. There's a shot kicked out by Leonard. As Vodman lets it go. Here's Vodman again. Sends it across. Silverberg with a shot again off the blocker of Leonard. We'll try the other side. Allen bobbles the puck. It comes back outside. And he shovels it all the way back to his own end. Long lead pass tipped in the neutral zone by Bonino. Carlson runs it around the boards. Back through center all the way down ice. And that will be touched up. And a face-off will come back down inside the Senators' end. This HD broadcast presented by Bell 5 TV. Watching hockey just got better. They scored right off the face-off. And Robin Leonard is... Well, I'm not sure what he is, but he's not happy. trying to evaluate the emotion based on the body language, and it's frustration, it's anger, it's a bunch of things.
Well, Bonino has been a solid performer for this team. Watch how the setup. There is no reason why that puck stays on the stick. You've got right there Carlson trying to reach for the puck. And Bonino, of course, is on the strong forehand and just pops it top shelf. And that might have been classified as a face-off win for the Ottawa Senators. Little lack of attention to the little things, and the Ottawa Senators are struggling big time.
Well, one of the things that the coaching staff won't like is the fact that in those kinds of close quarters, nobody got a stick or a body on a guy who's 5 feet in front of their own net with the puck. Carlson can't get through the crowd. Here's Wierkosh now. Around the boards. Lovejoy clears it. Carlson throws it back to the corner. Out to center. Here's Getzlaf. Getzlaf trying to go to the net. Backhander. And Leonard makes the save. Here's Turris off the boards. Clears it back out. An unassisted goal from Nick Bonino has made it 4-1. Turris down to the line. Throws it across, can't connect. Winnick back the other way. Feeds the puck ahead, but it is out of the reach of Cogliano. Jared Cowan now sends it ahead, now to center. McCulloch loses the puck in the neutral zone. Back of the net. Lindholm round the boards. Gets back outside the line, and Corbo tracks it down. Now 43-18. Centering pass hits Hiller in the side. Anaheim has 19 shots in this period. McCulloch can't get a shot through. Cogliano just clears it, and the Ducks get the change they want. Back to the corner. Puck is deflected up high in the air by Conacher, knocked down by DaCosta, couldn't get it out. Ducks again in the zone. Quick chance in front, it's deflected off the body of Corbo. Out to center. Conacher picks up the puck, but he had to delay as Allen went down to shortstop it. Lead pass out to center. Down the line and in, Palmieri, and he is jolted by Neal. Here's Mafat. Steers it out to center. Palmieri and Neal taking turns cross-checking each other. Here's Mafat, a quick turn, gets it ahead. DaCosta to center. Shoveled ahead by Wierkosh, puts it right into the equipment though of Perreault. Back the other way. Here's MacArthur trying to take it to the net. Swings it out the other side. Feeds it back to the point, quickly across. Wierkosh can't get a shot away as he bobbled the puck. Back to the net. Turris back in front. Mafat pinching down the wall, couldn't get a good shot away. And here's Solani. Gets to the line. Penalty call is coming against Turris for hooking. Back in front. There's a quick blocker save. Puck is still loose. Silverberg throws it cross ice. They get the goaltender off. Extra attacker is out. And here comes the call. Turris will get the hooking call. And with a 4-1 lead, the Ducks will go to the power play when we return to Anaheim.
Well, Bruce Boudreau came in November of a season a few years ago in Washington and turned that team around. He won the Jack Adams Trophy as the best coach of that year. And then the team did not do well overall in the playoffs. I think everybody knows that. He lost his job and was hired the next day here in Anaheim to be able to take this team and turn the Ducks around. And so far, he's having a perfect start to this season, starting 4-0 and a 4-1 lead in this game.
That assistant coach you saw to Gabby's right. Senator fans may remember former Senator player and former Senator assistant coach Brad Lauer.
Pretty good guy they've got to help the young defensemen. We talked about 3 of the defensemen, 3 of the 6 are 21 years old or younger right now on the ice for the Ducks. A fellow named Scott Niedermeyer is the defense consultant.
Getzlaff tries to play it back, hits a skate. Cleared to the line, it tips off the stick of Vatanen, back out and down.
Help me out, Dean. Scott Niedermeyer may just be the only guy, or one of the very few, has won at every possible level. Junior, NHL, Stanley Cup, Olympics, World Championships, part of a very exclusive group.
He's got gold medals everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a shot from the wall, and it is swallowed up by Leonard and holds on. And with Niedermeyer, also a very staunch environmentalist, very much in favor of the cause of environmentalism, and actually has spoken before Congress here in the United States. As you again saw Brad Lauer there just a second ago.
Actually, Brad Lauer is a teammate of mine, you know that, back in 87, 88. In the last years that I played, Brad was a young fella coming up.
I was going to say, he must have been a rookie. Yes.
Yeah, go easy, go easy. We can just talk about being a teammate. We don't need details.
All right, vintage sensitive conversation. It's a 3-goal lead for the Ducks after 40 minutes here at the Honda Center. Second intermission is on the way. And here is Brad Fay and Billy Jaffe back at Hockey Central at the intermission.
All right, Dean, Billy will be here to break down what we saw in the second period. The Sens headed for a record that they do not want to be a part of. We'll tell you what that is. We'll also find out from Billy what the Canadian teams have to be thankful for on this holiday weekend. It is the Ducks in control. Corey Perry with a big night. Back with more after this.
Second period scoring summary is brought to you by The Brick. Nobody beats The Brick for furniture, mattresses, and big screen TVs.
The second period not much better than the first for the Ottawa Senators. Just when you thought down by 1 goal coming into period number 2 with momentum seeming to be on the side of the Ottawa Senators, Corey Perry and the youngster defenseman Lindholm combined to make it 3-1 at 3:18, and then it just kept going as Bonino, very similar to the opening goal by Perry 27 seconds into the game, wins a face-off and immediately off the draw pumps one upstairs. Bonino gives his Anaheim Ducks a 4-1 lead. That goal was unassisted right off the draw.
I have said, you have said, many people have said many times that sometimes looking at the shot clock can be deceptive. There are games where a team gets plenty of shots, but they aren't necessarily the dominant team in the game. Scoring chances, true scoring chances, and shots are very different stats. In this game, the shots are 45-19, and it is a very accurate stat because the vast majority of truly outstanding scoring chances, as well as shots, have been from the Ducks. McCulloch plays the puck to the corner. Around the boards, Perry gets up. Feeds it back to the point. Slides it across. Puck to the corner. I think they thought that Vatanen was going to fire that puck because he's done it so many times so far tonight. Ducks hold it in. Here is Vatanen moving in. Oh, what a save by Leonard. Gets the glove up on that snapshot from Sami Vatanen.
By the way that the Ducks have moved the puck around on this power play, I can't believe they only have 1 goal, and the power play goal belongs to Bonino. Watch how this puck is moved around. This is pure perfection as Vatanen comes in on the right side and fires what could have been a perfect strike except for the quick glove of Sens goaltender Leonard. Look at that.
Carlson runs it along the boards all the way back down ice.
Sometimes it's just a joy to listen to the puck hit the blade of the other stick. And there, that passing was really music to the fans of the Anaheim Ducks. tick, tock, tick, and a shot on goal.
Back to even strength. Only 2 shots on goal get through during that power play. Getzlaf back in front for Perry. Couldn't get it through. Back to the point. Here's Beauchemin. Winds, fires. And that is easily swallowed up by Robin Leonard.
Sure you don't miss the Sens opening weekend. First, it's the Devils on the 17th, and parking is free. Compliments of Canadian Tire. Then on the 19th, the Edmonton Oilers pay their only visit of the season. For more information, go to capitaltickets.ca.
Now, the Ottawa Senators as a franchise has never given up more than 95 shots in any 2-game span. They have now given up 97, counting the 50 shots last night in San Jose and the 47 right now. 97 shots they've given up in less than 2 games.
In a single game, the franchise record is 50. Ottawa has given up 50 shots twice, once against New Jersey and once against Boston. Anaheim is currently at 47 shots in this game, so that will be a record that Ottawa will relinquish tonight, and not happily. Moving in, backhand pass. The one extra pass to Silfverberg was one too many, as Perreault was determined to try and set up the former Senator.
Now, the scary part is that that was an easy goal had it not been for MacArthur, who was back playing a defensive position.
The thought drops into the corner. Lindholm along the boards, steers the puck ahead. Now Silfverberg didn't like the way things were going. They'll start this breakout all over again. Out to center. And the ageless 43-year-old Teemu Selanne drops it back. Takes off on a change.
Selanne announcing that this will be his final year in the National Hockey League.
Long lead pass down the line. Busted through low and just wide. As that one got between Cowan and Weirkosh. Neal picks it up, gets it ahead for Conacher. Takes it in the skates. So he turns around and slaps it down inside the Ducks end. Here's Jonas Hiller to the corner. Back behind the net, Conacher. Got tangled up with Hiller. Out to center now. Down to the line and in. Ducks still in possession. Winning. Turns it back to the point. Fowler with a shot. Glove down by Robin Leonard. He will hold on for a face-off again.
Well, I know that the Senators were hoping that the Anaheim Ducks would stop skating, but as Cogliano breaking through and almost getting a pretty good opportunity, I think Leonard didn't get the left pad on that shot. The Anaheim Ducks are not going to stop skating.
Puck cleared around the boards by Phillips. The start to this season by the Ducks is the second best in franchise history, and they're trying to make it even better. To the line and in. Palmieri dumps the puck to the corner. Here's Corvo. Breaks on, gets tangled up with a stick pressed against the boards. Loses the puck. Palmieri back to the net. Spin it back in front is Bonino. Centering pass, that's knocked away but held in. Bodnan just tried to send it to the front of the net. Bodnan is, I'm very impressed with how this youngster gets the puck to the net. He's just 22 years old, and the puck is always going to the net. And in today's game, it is amazing how well he does in the heavy traffic, considering his size. Only 5'10", 183, which for a defenseman in this game is very small.
Well, the opening night of the season for these Ducks happened to be the other night against the New York Rangers. Bodnan was a +5 in a 6-0 win.
Out to center, here's Corey Perry. Tries to weave it in. Carlson is hung up. See and Pat Maroon tangle up with each other. Maroon leans in on Turris. Down the thought. Out the other side. Ahead to center. It hops over the stick of MacArthur and floats back down ice. That'll be an icing call and a face-off. Back down inside the Senator zone.
Cal Turris had some really good opportunities in this game, and he leads the Ottawa Senators with 4 assists on the season so far. And he has been basically the go-to guy for Paul McLean, and that Spencer's been in and out of the lineup. And much like last year, no surprise with Turris facing the top defense pairings of the other team.
Interference call here off the face-off. And so Ottawa will go to the power play. Right off the draw, Silverberg hung on to his man a bit too long. And a face-off back down on the Ducks end.
Now there you see the work down below there at Silverberg. Well, the Ottawa Senators have not had a 5-on-4 power play opportunity so far in this hockey game. Might look at it as an opportunity. Forget the might. Have to look at it as an opportunity.
Spezza off the draw, steers it back. Phillips gets it across. There's McCulloch now. Back along the board, Spezza to Carlson. Drops it back. Spezza winds, tipped in front, low and wide. McCulloch tried to redirect it. Off the board, Saku Koivu turns, fires it through the gap, and back down to the Ottawa end.
38-year-old Saku Koivu was drafted by the Montreal Canadiens the year the Ducks came into existence.
McCulloch flows into the zone. Allen round the boards. Here's Beauchemin. Knocked off his stick. It trickles to the side of the nets. And Jonas Hiller thought he had it. Actually, the puck was beside his pad. He finds it, holds it. We'll get a face-off.
It's the search for Canada's next sportscaster. Gillette drafted on Sportsnet 360. Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Aspiring broadcasters compete for a one-year contract at Sportsnet and a one-year contract to be a Gillette spokesperson.
All right, thank you, Sean. Allen around the boards on the other side. Bonino tips the puck by Wiercioch. Corvo comes all the way across ice to gather it up. With Getzlaf trying to chase him. Minute gone, minute to go in the Ottawa power play as Turris weaves his way in. Throws it cross ice. Here's Bobby Ryan back in front. Looking for the tip pass to MacArthur. Wiercioch. MacArthur gives it back to him. Move it around. Here's Corvo to Wiercioch. High slot. Puck is bobbled, but Ryan tries to pick it up, loses it, and it's sent back down ice by Getzlaf.
Couple of good plays by Bobby Ryan. One, a really good pass. It seemed that would have been an easy tip for Clark MacArthur. He seemed to have missed the puck.
Here's Edom with it. Emerson Edom swings it around, and now an easy clear for the Ducks. Edom to the line. Drops it off. Trying to go to the net. MacArthur's going to get called here as he reaches in on Cogliano. So with 10 seconds remaining in the Anaheim penalty, Clark MacArthur will take one of his own, and 4-on-4 for 10 seconds, then another Anaheim power play.
I don't know if I can blame Clark MacArthur. Take a look at this. Cogliano is letting himself go right there. That is pretty much drawing a call. Anyway, MacArthur is feeling pretty robbed on that particular play. But at this point, not much you can do. The penalties have been a real problem for the Ottawa Senators throughout this early part of the season.
Diving, Zach Smith pokes the puck out of the zone. Silverberg is back out now, and the Ducks are back on the power play. To the line. Here's Butler with a shot. That's blocked on the way to the net. Centering pass right on. Lennon makes the save off that good, quick snapshot from Silverberg.
First time we've seen these Ducks play, of course, this year, and I'm finding it quite incredible how the Ducks one line after another, and they are that kind of a deep team. I mean, Bonino, who's been a dominant player, number 13, is the centerman for the fourth line. It's a very deep team, and Boudreau, who himself was a very offensive player when he played long time in the American League, his guys really find the open ice.
Wrist shot, blocker save as the snapper came from Mathieu Perreault, and a face-off again to the left of the Ottawa goal.
It's totally surprising to me why Anaheim doesn't have more goals on the power play. I mean, the display we're seeing in this hockey game, this has been indicative of the way they move the puck around. Boy, it's not going to take long for them to start hitting. Look at how much time each player, this one Perreault, has to shoot the puck on the power play. They move the puck quick, they move it crisply, and usually there's a man open with plenty of time for a shot on goal.
0 for 4 in this game with 14 shots. Now 1 for 19 on the year. Here's Solani. Sends it to the front of the net. Puck is cleared by Cowan, but not out. Short-handed chance. Lead pass for Condra from Zach Smith is too far, but into the glove of Jonas Hiller. He covers up and a face-off back down in the Ducks zone. Well, last year the Ducks finished second in the West. 66 points. The goal differential was a +22. They were cruising along and then lost in the first round of the playoffs. A 4-3 upset victim to the Detroit Red Wings. So they were a very good team last year, and they've made some changes. Of course, gone is Bobby Ryan. Brad Staubitz is gone. Steckel's gone. Lombardi's gone. And they've injected that youth on the back end. To the line and in. Carlson steals it and clears it.
Now, number 4, you just saw with the puck. Fowler is one of those young defensemen that has been a high draft pick, and they're counting on for long time service here in Anaheim.
And some of these young guys wouldn't be here if it weren't for injuries, and injuries create opportunities. As Perry takes advantage of this one, holding the puck in.
Yeah, a lot of people who watch the OHL, watch Cam Fowler win the Memorial Cup in Windsor.
Soraya out of the lineup after that wrist surgery, so there's one defensive spot open. Spees is out with a lower body injury. There's a defensive spot open. So it's created some opportunities. There's a shot tipped in front, loose puck, and it's cleared over top of the net. Getting in there late to the party was Pat Maroon, and he put it over top of the Ottawa goal. Back to even strength hockey. Ducks up by 3 here in period number 3 on Canadian Tire Senators hockey. Well, now time for the hardest working Senator, brought to you by Marks. Ready for this?
Well, certainly Bobby Ryan was. He has worked hard at this hockey game as the only goal by the Ottawa Senators. Has had a couple of opportunities, and there's a goal, a beautiful pass by then line mate Kyle Turris, but he's also created some chances on his own. Real hard-working Ottawa Senator Bobby Ryan.
So back to 5-on-5. Ducks now 0 for 5 on the power play in this game. Didn't like the way the face-off went, so they'll do it again.
You know, the penalty killing has not been that great either. 54%, a little over that coming into the hockey game. But the Senators have only had part of one power play opportunity. Not like they've been able to exploit the deficiencies.
Point blank giveaway by Patrick Wierkosh, and saving the day again is Robin Leonard. MacArthur back in front again. Put it right on the tape, and it hopped over the stick of Spezza. Ducks quickly clear it back out as Cogliano sent the puck ahead. The Ducks do not mess around when it's time to get the puck out. Even if they can't make a play, it's just out.
And you know, we talk about the gap. Everybody knows what that means, that position there, the distance between forwards and defensemen. These Ducks really have it covered well. They are tight all over the ice.
Spezza drops it back. Jared Cowan. Back to the high slot. Spinning shot by MacArthur, and that hits a leg. Spetz in the corner is dropped by Beauchemin. Puck comes to the front of the net. Ducks break it out 3-on-2. Right side, Palmieri cuts in. Gets it across. They can't get the shot away. Coming back on the play to break it up. Edom couldn't get the shot off. There's Jared Cowan back the other way. Carries it in, tries to slide along the boards. Gets hung up by Beauchemin. Along the boards on the other side. Here's Chris Neal. Gets it back to Turris. Bouncing puck and coming through. It pops over top of the net. Neal swings it back to the net and nearly deflected into his own net by Edom. The Ducks team record for most shots in a game is 54. They're at 52. The Senators' record for giving up the most shots has already been surpassed at 50. So along the boards, Neal tries to fish it out. Can't. Ryan Allen out the other side. Fires it all the way down ice. And we'll get a face-off back down in the Ducks' end.
Difficult situation for the Ottawa Senators when you take a look at the size of the three teams that they have just met. LA, San Jose, and this team have shown a lot of strength. And all I can think of is maybe Detroit knew something like this and really wanted to get out of the West. Now Detroit and Columbus leaving the Western Conference to come and play in the East. Big, fast hockey teams. No thanks.
Zach Smith to the line. Greening tries to send it in front. Carlson comes down the wall to try and hold it in, but he's angled off by Silverberg. Silverberg wrestled off the puck by Smith. There's a shot by Greening that doesn't get through. Greening now along the boards. Takes Vatanen into the boards. Back to the point. Carlson whips it across to Mathot. Mathot winds and fires. It's deflected in front. Back in front again. DaCosta can't get a shot through as he's upended. Out to center now. Puck is flipped to the corner by Perreault. Heads off on a change, as does Solani. Carlson waits for his forwards to change. Lead pass up to center. Neal gets to the line first, and that means no icing call. Neal along the boards. Kicks it to a friendly stick. Bobby Ryan back to the point. Phillips gets it across. Wierkosh holds it in. Back of the net. Neal is tied up and taken down. Getzlaf tries to tip it out to center. Loses the puck to Ryan. Wierkosh round the boards to Phillips. Banks the puck ahead. In the neutral zone, the no-look pass by Neal is intercepted. Getzlaf floats it back down inside the Senators' end. Here's Phillips. Patrick Wierkosh up the wing. Puck is cleared ahead. Turris trying to get there. Does. Sidesteps the check of Beauchemin. Sends it in front. And on the way there, it is deflected away by Lindholm. Out to center. Lead pass for Maroon. Doesn't connect. 7.5 to go here in the third. Lindholm along the boards. MacArthur couldn't snare the puck. Back the other way. Cogliano cuts in. His shot save is made. Leonard holding his ground, knowing that Winnick was coming down the other side. He didn't fall for it, though. 3-goal lead for the Ducks here in the third.
Anything for hockey.
Brought to you by Molson Canadian, diehard fan and proud partner of the Ottawa Senators. Today we focus on
Robin Lehner. Anything for hockey, my goodness. I haven't played at all this season, says Robin Lehner. We go into San Jose, I get a start, and tonight I get another start. I have seen more rubber in these two games than a regular month in the American League.
Vatanen runs it up the boards. Puck is held in. Here's MacArthur, gets a second save on a Hiller. MacArthur out the other side, puts it back to the blue paint. It's steered to the corner. Back along the boards. McCauley. Cross ice. Cogliano tries to cut to the net. Toe saved by Leonard. And now Spezza. Back to the Ducks line. MacArthur works it across. Swing and a miss on the shot from McCulloch. And again, quickly back. Good transition by the Ducks to the line. And offside the call, as that is a Lovejoy shot that came after the whistle, but very, very closely after the whistle.
Well, Robin Lehner has certainly showed that he can play that position in goal. He has been really outstanding in spite of the score, in spite of what's happened. He has been solid in goal. And again, real focus, made some superb saves in San Jose last night. And then, of course, tonight, the need for making a lot of saves, he has come through.
Round the boards. Puck is dumped in and up to center now. Palmieri to the line, trying to get around Mathot. To the corner it goes. Ball shoveled ahead now to center. Turris. Knocked down by Bobby Ryan. Bobby Ryan carries it in. Ryan trying to get by Beauchemin, and when he gets there, he levels his man, and Neal comes in and immediately grabs Beauchemin, who jolted Bobby Ryan backwards. And Neal wanted to come in and just make sure that no one was going to take advantage of his star winger, and I think out of that, Neal is going to draw a penalty. Ducks back to the power play when we return to the Honda Center. Review is brought to you by the Ottawa Citizen, presenting sponsor of the Senators 2013-14 season.
Maybe not the best look back of all, but certainly the key for Anaheim. Domination is what has happened, and it continued through 2 periods. You see the shots on goal by the Ducks, 55. A couple of goals in the first 9 shots, and they haven't stopped.
Shot goes high at the glass side of the net. Perry trying to jam away at it. He is knocked down by Phillips. Here's Getzlaf now, back to the point. Getzlaf gets it back. Spins to get away, wants to get it back to Fowler. Bodnan couldn't get a shot away. McCulloch delays in clearing the puck and nearly got trapped in the zone. Does get it back out, but not all the way down ice. And Getzlaf jumps back in, offside.
Getzlaf's got a goal and 1 assist so far in this hockey game. The captain of this team is kind of like he sort of gives you the idea of what it's like out here. At 6'3", 220-pound centerman. These guys are big guys. And the guys that they brought in, and guys like Patrick Maroon and Emerson Edom, all big guys as well who can all skate. And I talked to Doug Wilson in San Jose last night, and Doug talked about making changes to his team, the Sharks, and those changes were keep the size, just improve on the speed. And you saw that in San Jose.
Minute gone, minute to go in the power play for the Ducks. Beauchemin sends it to the corner. Perry tied up, Getzlaf on the other side. Drops it down to Maroon. Maroon off the boards, couldn't go anywhere with it. Pass was tipped by Connor, and outside it comes. Lindholm got it back. Here's Perry. Perry to the high slot, cuts to the forehand, pad save. Off the boards, Condra couldn't get it out. Back to the point again. Beauchemin with a shot. That's blocked. Off the boards, back down ice by Phillips. Ottawa gets the change they desperately need. Last rush with the man advantage for the Ducks. To the line and in. Perreault. It's dropped in the high slot. Spinning it back. Silverberg can't get a shot away. Solani has it knocked off his stick. MacArthur couldn't get the puck out. Back to even strength now. Neal out of the box. Lafont gets it ahead. Neal down the wing. Neal gets in around his man. Tries to center the puck. Zach Smith back to the point. Methot, his shot right on. Save is made by Hiller. Loose puck. Here's Carlson now. Delays his shot. Glove down by Hiller.
Carlson's legs went weak for a moment, thinking he had made the right move, which is show patience. And then he got the opportunity to go top shelf, and the right-handed glove. You see how the glove is on the right hand of Hiller. Snags it.
Spezza will take the draw. Pulling it out of the pack is Sami Vatanen. His pass knocked down. Spezza holds it in. Still lying there. Spezza just hacks it towards the net. Conacher cycles it back. McCulloch on the other side. McCulloch rammed into the boards. Maintains. Falls. Koivu picks up the puck. And out to center. Long lead pass. Cagliano trying to find the late man. Winning back in front. And it hops over top of the stick with Koivu. Winnick there to hold it in. Gets a shot, but misses low and wide. Leonard clears it to the corner. Here's Conacher now. Shovels it high in the air, back out to center. Off the boards, Beauchemin sends it all the way down ice. Icing waved off as Carlson is there to get it. Erik Karlsson chips it off the glass. Down to the Ducks line. Bonino moved it in. Here's Leonard out of the net. Runs it around the glass. Off the boards. Puck is held up at the line. Back down ice. Hampus Lindholm in behind the net. Greening trying to get the body on him. Puck cleared. Corvo holds it in. Sends a shot through, and again a basket catch by Jonas Hiller, and then Colin Greening goes in to try and jar it loose. Let's go down to ice level. Here's Sean McKenzie.
The MLB playoffs happening right now on Sportsnet. It's game 2 of the ALCS right now. Currently in the bottom of the 6th, the Detroit Tigers lead the Boston Red Sox 5-1. Coming up next, we will join that game once we wrap up here in Anaheim.
All right. Thank you very much, Sean. Off the boards, out to center. Wiercioch tips it back down to the Ducks line. DeCosta runs it around the board. Centering pass, and it hops over the stick of Colin Greening. Back to the point. Wiercioch, swing and a miss. Here's Solani to the line. Flips it back, gets it back, can't get a shot away. Bouncing puck everywhere, turning with it now, along the boards. DeCosta. And making a space out of the zone. Corvo's pass. That's knocked down again. The Ducks just flip it back in the Ottawa end. Solani winds, looking for the tip pass. Allen fires it back to the net. Here's Solani, final minute of play here in Anaheim. This victory for the Ducks will mean, with a wraparound chance, Leonard gets across to make the save off a good chance by Nick Bonino. With their 4-1 record to open up the season and 8 points, the Ducks will have their best start in franchise history.
And they are certainly built to continue that consistent play, especially if Boudreau can keep working with those young defensemen. They seem to be very impressive. Bonino, your fourth line centerman, has been an incredibly impressive player in this hockey game as well. Actually, there's just not enough stars to be able to give one to a lot of the Anaheim Ducks, who played a very solid game all around. We talked about Vatanen on the back line as well. Really a team victory here for Anaheim, who've been dominant since the beginning of the season.
Well, on throwback night here in Anaheim, where the Ducks put on their old retro jerseys from year 1 when they were still the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. They have rekindled the spirit of expansion. We're back in 1993. They earned a franchise. And everyone will go home happy here in Anaheim tonight, unless you're one of those transplanted Sens fans here in Anaheim. And then there's not much for you to be happy about. Beauchemin picks up the puck, and the Ducks will celebrate this with a 4-1 victory over the Ottawa Senators this afternoon here at Honda Center.
Saddle up and get out of town real fast as the Ottawa Senators get on the plane and fly to Phoenix. That game on Tuesday, and for the Senators, who've now dropped below 500 in the standings, will look to regain that status in Phoenix on the very final game of this arduous 6-game road trip to open up the season.
Brought to you by Canada's hockey store, Canadian Tire, proud partner of the Ottawa Senators. By Molson Canadian, diehard fan and proud partner of the Sens. And by Scotiabank, you're richer than you think. Scotiabank.
Here are tonight's Molson 3 Stars, brought to you by Molson Canadian, diehard fan and proud partner of the Ottawa Senators.
Now, balance is what you want to find. There were other nights where Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf were not the stars for their team, the Anaheim Ducks, but tonight they certainly were. 27 seconds into the game, Corey Perry scores his first of 2. Ryan Getzlaff a goal and 1 assist, and Bobby Ryan makes a triumphant return. Really made the game 2-1 and gave his team actually a chance to catch up before the Anaheim Ducks took over and ended it 4-1 victory here in their second home start, allowing only 1 goal in 120 minutes of play on home ice.
Hairstyles by Ronaldo Hair Designers. We hope you can join us for our next broadcast and the next Sounders game, which is the last one on this road trip from the desert. The Sounders roll in on Tuesday to play the Coyotes. Our pregame show starts at 9:30. The puck drop is just after 10 o'clock. Ducks win it 4-1. Now ALCS action, Detroit and Boston. Let's go to MLB Central with Greg Zahn. Here's Jamie Campbell.